Ashton Moir. Pom, we're talking about a guy born on the 15th of April, 2005. Fresh out of the draft. He is our latest first pick and comes to the club. Got something about him, doesn't he? Got the 43 on his back now. There's something about this kid. How do you feel about Ashton Moir?
Well, for the long-time watchers of this show, they'll know that we've been on this guy's case probably about April last year when someone asked the question, who would we look at in the draft? And Tony Bamford, I think he's probably the best person to talk to about South Australian talent. The under-18s coach there called him by far the most naturally gifted footballer in this year's draft. And he's seen a lot of players. There's Mr. Bamford. He's seen Jason Horne-Francis. He's seen some big name players. And there's a rare gift about what he does. I always talk about bums off seat footballers. This guy is a bum off seat footballer. He plays the game in a way that makes me want to be 12 again and not look weird by putting footballers up in my bedroom. He's an exciting talent, a guy that can kick with both feet, a guy that invariably makes magic happen. But something that's rare for a draftee with so much talent, and probably big detriment to his year this year, is he brings players in as well. He isn't selfish, and that's a big thing about forwards. I'm not criticising the other forwards in here, but there was an air of selfishness about their year where Ashton, when he came back from his injuries, you did see he was very determined to play players in and showcase his teamwork. And he is easily, and I'll stand by what I said 9 months ago, a top 10 talent in the draft that has been forgotten about. And if he's nurtured right, this kid could be everything you've ever wanted and more, because he is a footballer.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you telling me that a couple of times, and such is where the club's at right now. Let's be honest. The club's in a position that it hasn't been for a long time for us fans, where we talk about the environment, and I think we had questioned the environment for many years because constant change, tumultuous, little to no consistency being shown on the field, off the field. All of a sudden, the maturity has started to show across the board. The stability has started to show across the board. And so when you get a talent like Ashton into the club and you put him in an environment like what we have right now, a stable football club, family, value-driven football club, the ingredients make for a nice cake.
Mate, spot on. I think the wonderful thing about Ashton is he's got a big brother at our football club in Jack Martin, who probably ultimately holds the key to where in the future he will be that third goal kicker, that third talent. And I think Jack Martin's probably had a very similar trajectory in his professional career that Ashton experienced in his last year. Have never been quite right, long-term injuries, and what a great role model. And I know that Jack Martin has a position at the club where he's very active in integrating the first-year players and being like an uncle to the players. Great role model for Ashton to work on this, because he doesn't have to be ready round one. That's the wonderful thing about Ashton. He's going to get the opportunity, like Ollie had, like Binsey had this year, a full year of it, of working on the technical deficiencies in his game, but rewarding his natural athletic ability. And rare type of player. Do you know what I mean? That he's incredibly athletic, but he does things that are a little bit different. And if you watch the training where I was stood with you, Terry, people were gasping at what he could do, because what he does do is sensational. And a lot of the times, the only drafty information you guys and girls get, aside from like what I do, is shitty little highlight videos. And trust me, you can make a highlight video of anyone and make them look good. Ashton's whole games are highlight reels. Like every game he's ever played that I've watched all the way through It's them little moments he does make you go, wow, this kid can play. And Chills asks anyone who he could be like. I actually see him playing a little bit higher up the ground and getting a bit of hands on the ball. And I think that Glenelg, not saying they used him wrong, they really did limit what he did when he started getting the injuries. I can see a Bailey Fritz appearing from this guy, a guy that really is that third target. He loves to run from the pocket. We've seen Bailey Phillips and Bailey Fritz against us, lives in the pocket, marauds up to half forward, and suddenly no one takes him. I feel like this kid here is special and an incredible talent. I think Bailey Fritz will be, if he can become like Bailey Fritz for Carlton, teams are in trouble because suddenly that opens the door to Harry, opens the door to Martin, opens the door to Charlie. He's a very, very accomplished footballer and wizard in the air. Wizard in the air is older. Ash.
What do you think the pathway for his 2024 year is? Because I think by default, with any first-year player, unless they're Sam Walsh, which they don't come around too often, but I feel like, I mean, I'm not limiting him. I'm sure if he wows the coaches, he might have a spot in opening round, etc. But he's going to get me to VFL games single-handedly because I just think of that, that difference between the AFL and the VFL, and I think he's a level above the VFL, if not able to play there. And I don't mind the idea of him just having a development year for the first half. I mean, I don't know. It's a big unknown for me.
Mate, Spawn, I mean, I think you'll be shocked. I think he'll play early. I really do. And I don't think he'd have to worry because the wonderful thing about Ashton is for the last 2 years, this guy takes the piss. Like, he takes the piss. And I think that the development will come as if they add some midfield time to him. He said it himself, Isaac Heaney is his role model. And there's definitely scope there to be that awkward midfielder who can go forward. Luke mentions Philip Hoare. Obviously, Philip Hoare, naturally a midfielder who plays forward. Ashton's going to have to learn that bit because he hasn't been afforded them duties. But I think as a first-year player, this guy, I feel like Jack Silvani, he's that benchmark when he plays this role. He's the benchmark. He's AFL average. When Carlton want to go that next level, Ashton Moir can go another level. He's got skill. He is incredibly talented. I don't want to pump the blog's tires up, but this guy's been on the radar on this show for over a year. He is. You don't often see it. There isn't often a time that you watch a player and you get excited, and I've seen them all. I've seen them all doing this with you guys and girls. Seen all the hype, Jason Horne-Francis, all the hype. There's just something about him, and I think his storyline of struggle really appeals to me. The hip injury, relearning how to run again, relearning how to kick, regaining the feeling and the touch, and then finding it. If you go back and watch the game against the Western Australia, he absolutely pulled them apart, and they have an incredible backline. They couldn't handle him because he runs weird patterns. He doesn't do the norm, and he makes things happen, and he's an opportunist. And I'm really excited about him, and I think I think you'll see him play 10, 12 games this year minimum, and I think he'll be the change. He'll be the change for the Blues.
I'm excited to see him. I saw him do that match sim at the final open training session, the sidestep. I mean, I'll play it here. And I'm just excited to see him. But I don't, it's such a good position to be in now as a fan where I don't have that much expectation on him. Like, whatever he gives us to me is a bit of a bonus. He's not the great white hope. These draftees coming in are not the great white hope anymore, who we have to play. And so I just, it's a good reminder that we're in a good spot as a club, and wish Ashton all the very best, and can't wait to see him sidestep in the AFL against the Cats at the MCG.
He's got some decent celebrations as well in him, Ashton. So I'm very intrigued. We know Jesse loves bringing the NBA to the AFL. It'd be interesting to see what Ashton and Jesse, I reckon you might see some wacky secret handshakes and all sorts going on. But he loves a bomb, and I can't wait for us to see a left foot and then a right foot banana in the same game. I think we'll be very excited.
Yep. All right. Well, that's Ashton Moir. Let us know. How do you see him going into season 2024?